Right, this video will be about how to sputter coat your samples for SEM. So here we have these samples here on the right. We have the aluminum stub, carbon tape on top, and then we have a sample here and also another sample here on top that's stuck on top. The samples aren't very conductive, so we're going to add a layer of gold. This is our sputter coater here. To get started, first we need to make sure that we go over here, make sure that we turn on the argon gas. Make sure it's usually set at 40. There's actually gas in here. Turn up the valve. Okay, so that argon gas is going to go up into the ceiling, and then it'll transfer to our sputter coater here. Okay, so first I'll open this out. There's a lock back here, so you press this. Okay, the reason why I do that is when we open this, have something for the ceiling back on. All right, you can see this is our gold target. This is our glass here to cover. It's here. Very important to wear gloves so we don't contaminate anything inside. So got our samples here, and we need to just transfer our samples from here onto there. So use this here. I'm going to close this, make sure it's sealed. Make sure this side closed down. Okay, make sure there's no gaps on the side. Okay, and we need to make sure that this is sealed, so this is our O-ring that we put on top here. Okay, first thing, we need to make sure the argon valve is closed, up is closed, down is open. We'll start off with pumping the chamber. Okay. So now we're just waiting for this vacuum to get started. You can see the lever right there. Our goal is to make sure it reaches past this region here and reach this where I made a red marker. If the sample is relatively clean, it should go up there really quickly. Otherwise, it may take a while. What we could also do in the meantime, if it's taking a little bit too long, is we could leak some argon inside the chamber, and then we close the argon again, so it's gonna flush a bunch of argon inside, and then let the vacuum re-pull it out. So it's usually called flushing. But it seems like it's pretty steady right now, so we'll just wait for a little bit. Make sure everything is closed here. Sealed. Okay, so let me just show you. Let me open the argon valve. We just opened the argon tank there, so it's gonna let the vacuum's gonna drop. Now I'll close this. We can flush it as many times as we need, so I'll do it again. You wait about 30 seconds and then close it again. And it's just a rough, doesn't have to be exact. Right, we close it all the way. That should reseal the chamber and then it should repump. The goal is to have the argon come in, knock off any residual air molecules or any of the absorbed air particles that are on the surface of your material. And usually that provides a cleaner vacuum. I'm gonna flush it again. Every single time you flush it, this should recover faster and come back to the same spot a lot faster than before, showing that the vacuum should be a lot better. So the red mark is where we ideally want it to be, but as long as it passes the 0.1 mark here, usually the vacuum is good enough to start coating. Okay, it's almost there. Just need to wait a little bit more. Okay, so it looks like it's at least past that a little bit. All right, so what we're gonna do next? Just gonna leak some argon in. I'm gonna open the valve just a little bit. You can see where this marker is right here. Just gonna open it to this 90 right here, just to make sure it doesn't, because the amount of argon that comes inside the chamber affects how much current that's gonna be applied when we turn on when we set the HT. So right now it's at pump. Once I'm gonna change it to set HT, I want the current to be between 10 and 20. If it goes too high, it might break the fuse in the back, so that's why I'm only releasing a little bit of argon here. I can also increase this later when if I notice it's too small. But for just to be safe, usually when this is closed, you can see it's around 80. Just opening it a little bit here. Have some argon come in. All right, so I'm gonna set HT here. All right, so it's a little too much. I'm gonna close it. Lower it down. So you can see the currents about here. I'll have it a little lower. So it's about there right now. It's actually coding. So I'll change this timer. So right now it's set at 1 minute. I'm gonna hit this button here. And then it's gonna coat for 1 minute, around 10 to 20, and it's slightly opened here. Okay. You notice that the pressure is a little lower than normal because we opened the argon, so there should be some argon. That's why the vacuum isn't as great, as long as we have a decent amount of. Right. It took me a while to set the amount of current, so it was coding during that time, but we wouldn't have to worry about it too much because when we code it, 1 minute coding between 10 and 20 is about 7 nanometers thickness, or probably about 10 nanometers or so. So it shouldn't affect it too much, as long as when you're looking at these samples in SEM, you're not looking at nano size features or anything like that. If you're just looking at sub-micron size features, 50 nanometers to, or like 10, 20 nanometers above 50 nanometers, it shouldn't be an issue with the coating. All right, so you see the lights off, so it's been a minute. You can also press it again if you feel like you need to coat it again. I'm gonna stop for this set here. So from the timer, I'm gonna switch all the way to off. Okay, I'm gonna reclose this here. All right. I will break the vacuum by opening this here. Okay. And then just before I so I don't forget, I'm gonna go over here, close this arrow valve here, and then I will close this here. Right. We want to close this first, then close this, so then it keeps this line pressurized. So then we have a reading for the. Otherwise, our alarm will go off here for a low signal. If that does go off, we can just turn these off, and then replace the tank. All right. Now that we're done with the coating, put this up here. This over here. You can notice there's an obvious color change here on these samples. Right, there's about a sort of a gold kind of glow. Sometimes they look a little more silverish because of the. So I mean, these should be ready for throwing into the SEM. Okay, once you're done, make sure you bring everything back. This O-ring here, usually you keep it out here because it might fall off when you lift this, so it's safer to leave it there. Just close this, and we'll just close this back here. Okay. Samples are out and ready to go.